What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Blackwater Podcast. Today is Thursday, January the 28th, 2021, and this is episode number 17. Today's episode is brought to you by Predator University, www.predatoruniversity.com. It is the home of Tony Tebby, who has the Tony Tebby Sounds. He also sells the Icotec collars. He also sells his own personal hand calls. But probably makes the best sounds, in my opinion, that you can get for predator hunting. Just to share why I use them, and I'm going to let you know right now, Tony has no idea I'm saying this. I haven't been compensated to say this. None of our sponsors have compensated us in any way, shape, or form. You guys know every week I just pick somebody new that I enjoy using their stuff or have dealt with personally, and make them the sponsor of the current episode, just because I feel that they do a good job, and I feel comfortable telling you guys to shop with them because I know you won't get screwed around, and whatever you get will be a quality product. I started predator hunting when I was a little kid, and that was back in the day when I used to steal my dad's Maglite and a roll of his electrical tape out of the garage or whatever we had to store stuff, depending on what house we lived in at the time. And would go with buddies predator hunting, coyote hunting, usually turned into skunk and rabbit and armadillo hunting. But we'd take that Maglite, and I had a 243, and we would wrap that Maglite with electrical tape at the end of the barrel of the gun and push it and turn it on and try to figure out how to see through the scope. And that was always fun, trying to figure out how to angle your tape so that you could get the light pointed in the right direction to see through your scope. And we had a lot of fun with that, and I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Most of my buddies didn't either. We would go out there, would do that with a Q-beam that plugged into the truck, or a battery powered something sometimes when we were riding in the truck, or we'd just go out and get on top of hay bales with the Maglite taped to the barrel of the gun, and usually would have an old Burnham Brothers or Johnny Stewart call. And then when Randy Anderson started getting popular later on, we always had some form of howler, and would just be out there blowing a howler all night long, hoping that that's what you did to get a coyote to come in. And sometimes there was a dumb coyote that would come in, and sometimes there wasn't. We definitely did more killing by riding around with a spotlight, shooting rabbits and armadillos and skunks, but either way, we were having fun. I say all that because when I started getting more serious into predator hunting, learned from some really good guys, and then felt like, okay, I'm getting pretty good at this. Every time I'm going out, I'm killing stuff, and we're having success, and decided I was going to start offering those hunts to people to come do that with me years ago. I started looking into what are the best sounds, what sounds are actually working, what sounds aren't working, when should I do this, when should I not do this. And Tony Tebby is a very personable guy. He's easy to get a hold of. He's responsive. He has no problem answering questions and helping out his customers, and making himself available instead of being a figure of where you just go and buy something and go, try it out yourself. He's made himself very available to clients and customers to be able to ask him questions, and him give you not only a great response, but he gives the response in a timely manner. And when you purchase something from him, you get a quality piece of equipment, and the sounds are first class. I mean, I'm sure there's other great sounds out there. I've used sounds that are not Tony Tebby, and I've killed stuff with them. I just know that there are select few sounds of his that it seems like when nothing else is working, I can go to those, 5 or 6 sounds that I have of his that always do well for me, and they always end up saving the night if we're in a bad situation. So, www.predatoruniversity.com is where he's located. His website has a ton of stuff on there, but there is a button that says online store. You can go in there. You can buy calls from him. You can buy sounds from him. One cool thing he does do is on those Icotec collars. The Icotec Outlaw is my personal favorite collar if you're a daytime and nighttime hunter, because the Outlaw has the built-in decoy on it, which I will say now, I used to not believe, I will say now, I do think that makes a big difference, especially on getting an animal to focus on the call instead of focus on you and your movements. But the Outlaw does a fantastic job if you're a daytime, nighttime guy. If you're just as solely a nighttime guy, they have the Night Stalker, and that is basically the exact same as the Outlaw, except for it's black instead of gray, and it does not have the decoy attached to it. So save a little money by that if you're usually doing night stuff and you just want to run that. If you want the decoy, go ahead and get the Outlaw. What he does, which is I think is really cool, is if you buy those, you can from him, you can also buy a combination of his sounds. He has different packages, from coyote stuff to his cat stuff to, he even has, at one point in time, I know he had a tournament call list where, you could buy all the sounds that Tony would use in a tournament situation. And if you buy those from him at the same time that you're buying your collar, he will upload all the sounds for you and test it to make sure everything's working correctly, package it back up, and ship it to you. And his shipping is great. I ordered another Night Stalker just the other day at I wrote him at midnight. He wrote me back I wrote him at 10 o'clock. He wrote me back at midnight. I ordered at 5 a.m. on Tuesday morning. And when I got back to my house yesterday, of course, I went in and saw the wife and kids and went to bed. But when I woke up this morning, the call was sitting here on my porch. So I already had the call and took it out today and started playing with it. You can't beat that. You don't get that from a lot of companies. Hell, you can't talk to most people at a lot of companies. So if you're going to do business in the predator world and you're a follower of mine, I would suggest you use Tony Tebby and Predator University, because he won't steer you wrong. On to the podcast. Today's episode is titled, Why Do You Hunt? And I think this is a fun topic because everybody on here, all 100 and I think our last episode had 200 listeners, so I'm going to use that number now. All 200 of you guys that are listening to this, see there, we doubled our numbers. All 200 of you guys that are listening to this can participate in this, because it's not something I'm trying to teach you or information I'm sharing with you. It's just a story of why we do what we do and why we are so passionate about it. Because whether it's your wife or your kids or people that don't know you or friends or whoever it is, all of us have those people in our lives that look at us and go, man, you're a little bit crazy. Why are you so enthralled by going out and killing something? And, for some people that is it. I'm sure there's a couple psychos out there that, they know they're not allowed to kill humans, I guess you would say. And so they do get off on just killing animals, but that's not why 99.9% of us do this. And so therefore it's fun to share our stories, our reason behind it, and just get to talk, in general about why we are so passionate about hunting and why do you hunt. And I think for me, it started when I was a kid. Y'all have heard me talk about Utopia quite a bit, and that was my granny's place, and I was real close to my granny. And we just had that perfect little, 3 or 4 acres down there on the Sabinal River. I had me a little tree that was not too far from the house. I mean, I could smell when breakfast was cooking. My dad, sometimes if he was in a good mood, he'd bring me some bacon and eggs out to the tree stand or out to the pop-up blind I had out there, and I'd just stay out there. And you couldn't get me out of that tree because I always had that feeling something was going to come. But I went with my dad. I went with my dad, my granddad, my uncles, and I saw how that worked. And so that kind of got me interested in being out there. And then, my dad's a football coach. And I played sports my whole life. My mom is in education also, so she was always a teacher in the school. And I'm not going to say that I should have had a stressful life, but I felt like I always had some form of spotlight or microscope on me. my entire childhood to make sure, to see if I would screw up and do something wrong. And so I always had like this real tight feeling about, if I do that, I'm going to get in trouble. If I do this, and it was just, there was a lot of pressure, I guess you would say, for me to always do the right thing, always be successful, 9 million things going on, and make sure that you're pleasing everybody. And when I would get down there and get in the woods and climb up in a tree or get in my pop-up blind and I was by myself, it was just a different feeling. I mean, you hear people talk religiously a lot about, peace, getting a peaceful feeling over you. And that was it for me. Like, I'm not going to sound sacrilegious or anything like that by saying, I never had a peaceful feeling while we were going to church growing up and that kind of stuff. But I will say that while I was out hunting in a tree, listening to the sounds, watching the sun come up, hearing the birds talk, watching a squirrel run around, seeing how the deer acted, watching a pig run in and out, that was a different type of peace for me. And it still is to this day. And my wife doesn't understand it either. My wife's not a hunter. My wife doesn't really even like eating game meat. But, it's hard for her to comprehend that. But for me, it's just a different feeling. So if I get stressed now, we've got 3 different companies running, and my phone rings off the hook all day long and emails all day long, and I've always got something that I was supposed to do yesterday that I forgot about that I've got to get done today, and everything backs up constantly. And sometimes I just take the day and I just go. Like on my birthday this year, y'all, anybody that follows me saw my post about sitting down there at the Barth place and just enjoying that. And I like to just go sit out there where nothing's going on and just write and listen and write and listen and write and listen and just be at peace. And that's why I do it. I mean, I love, y'all have seen me eat some of the craziest stuff ever. Jancy and I have, Jancy's been with me for like 6 or 7 years now. And he and I have eaten some of the craziest stuff that you could ever imagine in your life. I don't think there's much of anything that we haven't tried left, yet, especially here in the state of Texas. But, a lot of people are like, oh, you must really love game meat. And I do. I do really enjoy eating wild game. I think it has great health benefits. I know where it's coming from. There's not a chance that somebody else has tampered with it before I get it. I'm taking it out. I'm skinning it, cleaning it, and processing that meat, and I know exactly what I got and exactly what I'm putting into my body. And I am not a model of health by any means, but when it comes to eating wild game, at least I know 100% where that animal was, where it came from, how it died, how it was processed, and how it was packaged prior to me eating it. So there is that point, but that, that's not it. And then, everybody talks about, being out with the guys and hanging out with the guys and letting your hair down and getting to be free away from everything. And that's a great point too, because I've made some of my best friends in life have been because of hunting, and some of the best stories that I have to tell revolve around hunting. And I've got relationships. I was laughing with my wife the other day that there are very few states left in the United States of America that I don't have a good relationship with one of my clients who came to hunt with Blackwater from another state, that I don't have a good enough relationship with, that if I got in trouble in that state, I couldn't call them and them come help me out. Or if I'm driving through the state, have a place to stay if I need to. I mean, I can literally go from here all the way to Michigan or here all the way to New York, and I've got somebody in every state that I've shared camp with, and we've made a bond together over hunting, and they would invite me into their home, or vice versa. If they were here, I would invite them right back into mine. And so building those relationships has been a lot, to do with why I like hunting so much, because you get to meet people from different walks of life, and you get to experience through their words and storytelling what the culture that they grew up in is and could be if you went to check that place out. So that's very important for me also. And then just the the business model of it and the lifestyle of it. I was so passionate about it that I said from an early age that this is what I was going to do. I was going to find a way to earn a living in the hunting industry. And I didn't know how. When I was younger, I wanted to be Michael Waddell. I wanted to have my own TV show. I wanted people to flock to me by the masses and ask for my autograph. And I wanted to watch myself every Saturday morning on TV during deer season, shooting big bucks and being a guy like the Realtree Road Trips guy or Jackie Bushman or, Bill Jordan, all those guys. That's what I wanted to be when I was younger. And then the older I got, I realized, I was fortunate enough to do some work and meet with some of the guys that are in the industry. And I realized that just really wasn't the place for me. It was, there's a lot of politics involved in that. And I'm really, it may seem like it because I do talk highly of a lot of people, and it may seem like I'm kissing their butts, but I'm here to tell you, and anybody that knows me personally will tell you that I'm not a butt kisser. I don't go out to try to impress you. I don't care if if you like me, and really don't care to like you until we build some form of relationship. So if you hear me talking good about somebody, it's not because I'm trying to get on their good side. It's because I have personal dealings with them, and I am putting take it for what you're worth, but I'm putting my stamp of approval saying this is a good human being and you can trust them without having to feel like they're in it for some reason other than to actually help you out. And so that's why I talk highly about people. But in the industry as a whole, I could just see that, the TV side of things had a lot to do with politicking, and I'm not good at that, because I kind of say whatever the first thing that I think is, and a lot of times that's a huge downfall of mine, and it's not the right thing to do. And so it does put me in awkward situations sometimes, but I was smart enough to understand that's not the direction that you need to head, because you're not going to make it in that direction. Nowadays, if I was starting over the way YouTube is, and I know I mentioned the Googan Squad guys quite a bit, but I think they're a huge success story of guys that just happen to be in the right place at the right time, or have the right mindset, I guess you could say, because we were all in the place, but just self-filming their stuff from start to finish and letting that grow into what social media has allowed people to do nowadays with stuff like this and YouTube, and them being able to have their own hunting show or fishing show or whatever it is and do it their way without having to do the politicking. And so if I had to start over again, I would definitely take that route, because I do love the production aspect of it and bringing people along with me when I go do these things. But from the hardcore mainstream dish TV or cable network type hunting shows, that just wasn't me. So I'd been doing the guiding stuff since I was about 14 years old, and I learned to enjoy that. I learned to make it not a job where it wasn't. I've never been upset about having my alarm go off at 5 a.m. Jancy and I always joke around about, I don't want to go hunting when the alarm clock goes off in the morning, but nevertheless, neither one of us has ever gone, and acted like we're real ticked off about something. And Kyle's the same way. That guy can, we make fun of him all the time about being a vampire and being able to sleep with the lights on, in any place at any time. But when the alarm goes off in the morning, we're just as excited to be up and go as the clients are. And I started to learn over the years that it wasn't so much about the animals at that point in this business, and it was more about the people, and it was more about watching a dad bring his son and get the son's first deer, and you are getting to be a part of that, and you remembering when you and your dad were together and y'all got your first deer, and just how awesome of an experience it is to watch that. And nowadays, there's a lot more dads and daughters coming out to do that, and women's group getting into hunting, and you get to see the passion that people have, that you realize, we're all brothers and sisters in this thing, in a manner of we're all super excited and passionate about being in the wild, being in nature, and seeing how all this plays out from start to finish. And you start to learn that it's not, I hate to use the word, it's not about the kill, because I laugh all the time and joke with the guys about, a lot of times people that say, it's not about the kill, it's not about getting the animal. A lot of times we laugh and say, yeah, that's just because they couldn't get the animal. You know what I mean? Which is funny. We're not knocking anybody. It's just a joke that, if you were a better hunter, it would definitely be about getting the animal. But it's just a joke, and in all reality, they're right. Because it's the experience that gets you to that point. Taking an animal home is just the last piece of a huge puzzle. And so you can't throw away or denounce the rest of the puzzle just because you missed this one piece. And so I learned over time that, the experience of listening to a guy that comes out of Pennsylvania and brings his two sons. I had Ed Melig and his two boys, Rylan and Braden. This was their second trip down with me this year. And, Ed was telling me thank you, because he got his animal and he was excited about it. But for him, it was being there with his boys and sharing that time and making those memories in Texas. It was a different environment, and they were in a cabin, all three together, and they all three got to share and praise each other in the harvest of their animals, and they experienced stuff the whole way, and they were just as excited about, little Rylan was getting so pumped up just about seeing a shed on the side of the road, driving around the ranch roads. He would get just as excited about finding a deadhead or finding a shed as he did about killing an absolute trophy stud of a mouflon. And so it's easy to forget how important those other parts are at times, and then you see that and you realize this is what I love about hunting so much, is that it brings out, you want to say it brings out the kid in people, but a lot of times it doesn't even do that, because there's still a lot of people that are extremely mature and they don't get silly or goofy while they're hunting, but it washes off any form of facade that you have in your life, and it brings out the true person that you're really with. You've got these people that come from this hectic everyday 9-to-5 environment, and you get out and you take them hunting, and they experience that peace that when you're out hunting, and you get to see them in that environment, and you get to watch them go through the motions with you, and by the end of the hunt, who that person is as a real man or a real woman, just a real human being. You get to see what that person really is with all the 9-to-5 wiped away from them. And that's what I love about hunting. And that's why I hunt, because it's a feeling that I'm doing what the people that came before me did. So it connects to a nostalgia of the people that came before me. And I love that part, because I love the history of us and of what we do. But it also breaks away everything that's fake in this world, and it brings people to their true natural self, and you get to interact with people being truthful, and you get to interact with people being passionate, and you get to interact with people that are excited and peaceful about the environment that they are in. And it's honest, and I think that's tough to find, especially in America today. If you're alive and able to witness what's going on in 2020 and now in rolling into 21 today, honesty is tough to come by. And being in the woods with somebody and watching them at peace and passionate about going on a hunting trip, you get to see purebred honesty. And it doesn't matter who you meet, where you meet them. I went hunting. I just got back from a trip with a couple guys that I had never met before in my life. And I had a good feeling, talking with them over the phone, but had never met them before. And I go out and spend 2 days with them, and there's not a doubt in my mind that if any one of the three of us needed something, that one of the other two wouldn't drop what they were doing to go help. And so, it's just another connection that I've made, and I feel like it's super important to place ourselves around people like that in our lives. And I feel that hunting is one of the last activities on earth that you can find, that you can do, share an experience with people, and when you leave, you've made a connection that will last a lifetime. And so, long and the short of it is, why do you hunt? For me, it's for that reason. It's because I get to experience all those things, but at the end of the day, I'm in a peaceful environment. I'm excited about where I'm at, and I know I'm making connections that'll last a lifetime. It's not about hanging another deer on my wall. It's not about making another Instagram post. It's not about wearing the most expensive camo I can get my hands on. And it's not about being on TV or how many people are watching me or liking me or any of that stuff. It's about a true connection that, a guy I met may never like one of my posts, but I know without a shadow of a doubt that he and I are friends and we have a connection. And if one of us ever needs something, the other one would be there to help out. And that's truth and honesty, as opposed to the facade of social media and what it appears that hunting is nowadays. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this, because this was kind of a special one to me, because I get asked that question all the time. And sometimes it's tough to answer when you're in an environment with other people and you're bouncing ideas back and forth off each other, and you chase stuff down the rabbit hole, which is another funny thing real quick. Those two guys I was with predator hunting the other day, we started laughing about that, about what do you think the rabbits say when we say down the rabbit hole, because they're just down there trying to live life, and that they're probably talking about they do something and say that they chase something down a people hole. But anyways, just a little joke there. But I think when you're bouncing ideas back and forth off people, sometimes you can chase stuff down a rabbit hole. And being able to sit here in the truck and talk to you guys like this, I don't have to bounce any ideas back and forth, and I can just speak from the heart and tell y'all exactly why it is that I am so passionate about hunting. And I hope that you guys will leave a comment below and tell me what it is for you. Why do you hunt? Thank you guys again so much for joining us on the Blackwater Podcast. This has been episode 17, like I said, and we hope to see you all back here again next week for episode 18.